Thank you for watching this presentation. A division of the Republic into two great parties is to be dreaded as the great political evil. John Adams. A majority of Americans believe the two-party system is naturally flawed. In 2003, the overwhelming majority, 56% versus 40%, believe the two-party system is adequate and in no need of other choices. Now that sentiment is flipped. No more than 38% of Americans have supported a two-party system since 2012. Gallup polls have revealed public opinion on a two-party system has had a 60-40% split across the U.S. population since 2010, with the majority feeling a third party is needed. As a matter of fact, as you can see in this chart that spans from 2003 to 2018, the last major shift in public opinion occurred in 2012. Republicans or Democrats have controlled the White House and Congress for over 150 years. The two-party system is scrutinized for being outdated and underrepresenting large portions of the American population. 92% of Americans want to move beyond divisiveness, according to the Hidden Common Ground report by Public Agenda, USA Today, and Ipsos, and in the same study showed that 65% of Americans think one important solution is to make it easier for third-party and independent candidates to win office. Of 58 presidential elections in U.S. history, 53 of the winners won both the Electoral College and the popular vote. However, in 5 incredibly close elections, including the last 2 out of 3 presidents, the winner of the Electoral College actually lost the popular vote. As most states award all of their electoral votes to the person who wins the statewide popular vote, it is mathematically possible to win more electoral votes while still losing the popular vote. America's preference for a popular vote is at its highest level in 2 decades. By 2019, support for using the national vote totals over the Electoral College had risen to 55%. In 2020, 3 in 5 Americans favor amending the U.S. Constitution to replace the Electoral College with a popular vote system. It is an honor and my privilege to introduce to you the concept for the TV reality show series, Who's POTUS? After issues in the 2020 election and the controversy surrounding the Trump administration, political interest has never been higher among our citizens. It is conceivable that this TV reality series will achieve the highest viewership ratings in history. All legally registered party candidates are eligible to participate. The American people have never been subjected to such an array of political views, public opinions, and true discussions on this level, or that will span across the entire political spectrum. Independent candidates also welcome. The person must be a natural-born citizen of the United States and must have been a permanent resident of the United States of America for at least 14 years. A candidate also must be at least 35 years of age. If we base our platform on the Electoral College, then 538 potential candidates that we can then divide into 6 national regions will compete weekly in 20 locally held nomination conventions, nationally broadcasted beginning in January, 1 year prior to the federal election. Residents are allowed to vote for a favorite candidate from their registered state and also within their region through a ranking system. There must be an average elimination process of 4 candidates per week to narrow which candidates each state will send to the National Convention, where only 38 remaining candidates will face 20 more grueling weeks of competition, with a rate of 2 eliminations per week determined by the national vote ranking outcomes. In the end, only 1 candidate will be added as a third-party choice for President of the United States. Although this is quite possible to accomplish, may I suggest another option that's a bit more manageable and will allow more one-on-one time with each person running for office. May I submit that we merely use the percentage of national population each state possesses to determine the total number of potential candidates each state is allowed to have in the race. Based upon current numbers, this approach will narrow the group to a more manageable 112. Our previous guidelines can still apply, but are still up for debate as we arrive at the best possible structure for this platform. Under current ballot access laws, there are still certain states who discriminate against independent write-in candidates for president. States that are shaded in green freely accept write-in ballots. States colored in bright green require prior registration. However, states that are colored orange only accept write-ins for substitutions of official party nominees previously registered. Even worse, red color states do not accept write-in ballots at all. Of these 9 states, including Nevada, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, Hawaii, New Mexico, Arkansas, and South Carolina, independent candidates for president are denied access to 50 electoral votes. Of the 538 electoral votes total, this leaves only 488 available to independents who run for office, resulting in a 10% advantage to either the DFL or the GOP parties. Overall, this puts independent candidates at a 20% disadvantage throughout the election process. The most successful third-party nominee was Theodore Roosevelt in the 1912 election, who was the only third-party candidate to come second in a U.S. election. The last third-party candidate to win electoral votes was George Wallace in 1968. In the 1992 election, independent candidate Ross Perot received almost 1/5 of the popular vote. Candidate Joe Jorgensen had over 1,788,000 votes, which is the second best showing for any Libertarian presidential candidate, following Gary Johnson's performance in 2016. How will this improve our nation? Let us count the ways. True representation of the citizens in each state. Adequate pool of presidential candidates to choose from. Sufficient time and opportunity to learn who these candidates are and what they stand for. Minimizes risk of political corruption by electing private citizens instead of career politicians who establish long-term relationships for personal gain. Far from the last reason, and certainly farthest from the least, Americans will finally begin to trust their presidential leaders. I am specifically calling upon the Libertarian Party to open its doors to one and all, as they have painstakingly accomplished the extremely difficult task of getting on the ballot in every state. I believe the strength of this party can help organize, structure, and facilitate this platform's success by guiding the combined efforts of all political parties to generate true and diverse choices in our presidential elections. Libertarians must consider the measurable impact and added value of their individual party success thus far. Then, weighed against the opportunity to establish an equal voice for all parties, including their own. It is for the betterment of our nation I pray for their support. By the way, we're not talking about creating some boring C-SPAN show. Given the wide variety of political stances, social views, and the unique personal character of each diverse candidate from every area of our great country, this will definitely be the wildest form of societal entertainment ever produced in the form of a reality series. If we as a nation feel it necessary to cast insults and shout at one another, it might as well be to progress the extremely important issues we face as a nation. Imagine placing potential candidates in a room with organizations like the NRA, the EPA, Mad Mothers, DARE, PETA, ICE, and Planned Parenthood, or with community activist leaders like Angela Davis, Marcus Bullock, Gabby Rivera, or even Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. There's plenty of time, so talking in circles around questions, offering vague answers, and the flat-out avoidance of answering the specific question you are asked will absolutely not be tolerated. Neither will purposefully lying to the American people. Once any fact has been proven to be utterly false, it will be an infraction to publicly state. Refusing to provide an answer to legitimate questions or lying intentionally will count as a strike. After 3 strikes, the candidate will be automatically disqualified. So what are the goals to gain a voice? Number 1, to garner support in the use of various local, state, and federal facilities such as town halls and convention centers for the purpose of hosting these events and providing adequate shelter. Number 2, for nomination conventions to be held locally and broadcasted by PBS and NPR stations within these regions. Number 3, to nurture and secure assisted funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and other organizations able to help. Number 4, consolidate all minority parties who have historically failed to grow large enough or to have any significant impact or real success into one third party that is extremely diverse and as large, if not larger, than the DFL and GOP. Number 5, work effectively to lobby the 9 states who presently do not allow ballot write-ins for independent candidates. One person, one vote. Although this public platform will not actually replace our true election process or electoral college, it will allow independent candidates to flourish, as well they should, and help maintain the necessary bipartisanship in the Oval Office. As divided as the country has been over the last 2 presidents, it is time to offer more options. We, the people, deserve better choices. We are calling upon all established political parties in the U.S. to unite as one. Republicans and Democrats are way too big to contend with for any one particular party, let alone an independent. Every attempt by every third party has been a miserable failure. E pluribus unum. Out of many, one. It is with great certainty this platform will render stronger, wiser, and more competent leaders who are more in touch with the American population. Despite the unpopularity of his character and the controversial issues that surrounded the Trump candidacy, perhaps one thing a majority of Americans can agree upon is the potential benefit of having a president in office that is not beholden to special interest groups, partisan politics, campaign donors, and dark office dealings with career politicians who garnish support for favors in return. It is within ourselves to govern with integrity. If you are given this presentation, it is because you are in the position to help advance this agenda. I implore you to do so. It is upon the many to elevate the one who is selfless, as it is upon the one to selflessly act in the best interests of the many. Thank you for your valuable time and attention. In closing, I would like to leave you with one last call to action. Your country needs you. So,